properties. Okay, can you hear me now? Do I have sound now? Now is it sound? Can somebody hear me now? I just made an adjustment and I can see the mic volume. Must have been like a Windows update or something. Are we good now? I think we're good now. Hey, Tony's here. So I said good morning to everybody, but you probably couldn't hear me. Okay, so cool. We've got audio now. So, okay, so we got a lot to get through in a short amount of time. So let's get down to it. The first thing that I want to look at is, check this out. So Ubiquiti did an update this week. I'm going to zoom in on this. And they added this VPN client section to teleport and VPN. And I'm sure there's some other content creators that were probably chomping at the bit to get a video out about this. So I'll go ahead and give it a little bit of a spoiler here. So it uses an open VPN file, so we can bring it up. You have to you have to have an open VPN file, username and password, and then what happens is it creates a connection for your UDM. Well, I've been testing it because what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to create some traffic management rules from it, but for now I am not able to see that as an interface as an option. So I might be able to do a manual, but it's not populating here. Now if someone else has that populating here, please let me know what I'm doing wrong. But I could not get this to let me create a route for traffic to be back behind a VPN. And if anybody else's experience is different than that, please let me know. So they added, all kinds of things. Now this is the UDR, so I don't have two WAN interfaces, so I can't do load balancing. But on the UDM SE, there is load balancing available now, and we've been waiting for that for a while. But they did add this, and then if you follow some of the developers on Twitter, they did let us know that WireGuard VPN is going to be completely configurable here, and that OpenVPN client server, not VPN client, but like creating an OpenVPN server is going to be available soon. They're working on that. So that's kind of exciting news. So yeah, I'm going to probably do a video on this VPN client, but if anybody out there has had a different experience and you were able to get this to create an interface and let us route certain traffic out of the VPN, like for private internet access or ExpressVPN or TigerVPN or name a VPN, let me know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, and I would love to know if I'm doing something wrong with that. But yeah, good updates on the way from Ubiquiti. What else did they do? Let's see. So if I drill down into my UDR, they now have the port management, this real nice port management. So lots of good UI changes and things like that coming. So check that out. If you've got any questions, let me know. What's going to be funny is that the people are going to hop on to watch this live stream, the recording. In the first 2 minutes, there's not going to be any audio. So there's going to be 50 comments about how there's no audio. So I'll have to either download the video, cut those first 2 minutes out, or put something in the description. I'm kind of indifferent at this point. By the way, if you missed all that stuff, if you need to reach out, go to williehowe.com. All right, what else was in the title of this? InGenius, Grandstream, and Ubiquiti. Oh, my. So, yeah, let's talk about... where's my AP? My AP must still be in the box that I took to training. But here's something that's super exciting. So you're going to see my video come out this week on the GWN 7664. I've been holding off on this. Here are the latest firmware notes. I've been holding off on this because the lag didn't work. And I got like 6 different notifications from them because I had a ticket open that in the latest version of the firmware, which just was released 2 days ago, check this out. added support of link aggregation for the 7664 and the GWN 7664LR, which means now we can combine that 1 gig and that 2.5 gig port for an aggregate throughput of 3.5 gigs, which when you're running Wi-Fi 6, you know, if you're going to have large amounts of Wi-Fi 6 clients, you need this kind of efficiency, right? So one other thing that's exciting about Wi-Fi 6 is you'll just hear us just, you know, give like a generic, you know, you'll hear us say, spectral efficiency, right? Well, one of the real nice things about Wi-Fi 6 is BSS coloring. And if you don't know what that is, go look it up. But basically, it allows us to use what would normally have been interfering channels, but it colors the BSS, and then the client knows that it needs to connect to a certain BSS, even if it's on a channel. And there's all kinds of things built in to make that an efficient process. So channel reuse, channel overlap, and things like that become much easier with Wi-Fi 6. But we're still a long ways off from having all of the client devices be Wi-Fi 6 ready and Wi-Fi 6 available. I see that Tony asked a question over there, and he asked what my thought is on the AI, the Ubiquiti AI Theta. So let me, you know, they did a video on it, so I think it hit the store yesterday, and it immediately sold out. But you know, I am coming back around to the Ubiquiti, the Unifi Protect in certain applications. So this is the Camera AI Theta. This is $299, and we've been seeing a lot of different price discrepancy recently from the EA store into production. But let me pull this up. So this, I love marketing. Marketing and the real world sometimes is like a car getting stuck on the railroad tracks, right, with the train coming. Because look, I'm a huge Ubiquiti cheerleader, you know what I mean? Like, you've been around, you know the channel, you know that, but they're not the first company to do this concept. In fact, Axis has had these types of cameras where you had a lens and then you had, you know, a connection that went back to a control unit. Axis has had these out for years. Now, this is maybe the world's first security camera designed for interior design professionals, if you're billing it that way. But the way that a lot of the Axis stuff, if you ever looked at their public transportation solutions, their cameras are all designed exactly like this. You know, they've got the lead and stuff like that. So it's an interesting concept, and I think it makes a good fit for the ecosystem, Tony, for what they're trying to go for when you look at who their client base is. The thing that I would still like to have more than this is license plate recognition, LPR cameras, right? Because you have to do special IRs and lenses and things like that to get, you know, at night to be able to pick up a license plate at 50 miles an hour. And years ago, I submitted that, like, hey, Ubiquiti, like, let's get some LPR cameras. That would be one thing that would hugely bolster their offerings. But I do think that this is an interesting concept coming from Ubiquiti. It'll be interesting to see how it really rolls out. I may try to get my hands on one, but it'll be difficult to get, just like everything else at the moment. So let's go over to the comments. Yes, good morning, everyone. Now we have sound. So, Tony, I don't think that this is necessarily the lever that will get Protect to replace traditional stuff like Axis. I mean, you know, I'm working on a project right now with thermal cameras, right? Ubiquiti, you know, if you're in an application where you're going to have thermal cameras, first of all, the cameras are between $5,000 and $7,000 a piece. And then you're going to match them with AI that can tell the difference between, in this application, it's a zoo setting. You are going to have AI that can tell the heat signatures of a tiger from the heat signatures of a human being, and then be able to make, you know, decisions based on those kinds of things. And this stuff is not going to be ready for those kinds of markets. You're not going to see military installations. I mean, if you go out to YouTube and just do a search for some of the stuff that Axis does with their thermal cameras, with their long-range cameras, I mean, they've got demo videos of cameras that are sitting up in mountain ranges, and they're zooming into towns down at the bottom of these mountain ranges, and they're reading license plates in dark, right? So, like, when we're comparing apples and oranges, right? For the market that this is designed for, I think it's going to be a very successful product, right? You got a small mom and pop shop. And actually not even that. Some of these like boutique businesses, like look up the company Crumble. They are actually, I'll look up Crumble. Does anybody in here know what Crumble is? Crumble, they're a cookie company. And one of the things that they push when you go to their website, one of the things that they push is about how they use technology. Let's see, how they use technology to stay ahead of the curve, and you know, if you start reading in, because I was looking at, I wasn't looking at opening a Crumble store, but like I look at all of these different types of things. When I want to know something about a company, I want to know everything about a company, right? Anything that I can find out. And if you go to a Crumble, all their Wi-Fi and all their cameras are Ubiquiti. And so this is a company that is scaling quickly. This company, when you read about how many stores they are opening, they are, since they opened 3 years ago, they've expanded to 300 bakeries in 36 states, making it the fastest growing cookie company in the nation. Well, they are scaling quickly, so what they've done is a solution like Unifi for what they need. You could put a UXG Pro at one of these, put in a UNVR, put in some APs, and I know because I was there. You know, I go get cookies there, and I everywhere I go, I probably look weird because I'm looking at the cameras all the time. I'm looking for access points and things like that. But you can see, okay, so now they've got 559 stores in 42 states, and these are the only states that are left where you can, so they protect that territory. These are the only states that are left where you can open a Crumble. But yeah, once you start digging into it, they really lean on that technology. So to get a store up and going quickly, and when you go here, like they're making the cookies, like they're making the dough right in front of you. They're baking them. They have huge ovens. I mean, everything is very technologically forward thinking. And so they're able to put out massive amounts of these huge cookies very quickly. And they're huge, right? You can buy a cookie cutter that cuts it into fours like a little pizza. And but their technology, right? When you're growing this quickly, you've got Unifi, and you have a box of gear that you can send. It's standard. It is adopted. You've got settings. You can just roll it out. It makes sense for some of these applications. And, you know, at a small store like that, I think they're using Square for their point of sale. They've probably got you get really weird looks when you start like opening up your Wi-Fi Man app and seeing what's going on around you. But you can very easily meet PCI compliance with Unifi, and you just do it, right? So for a market like this, yeah, I think it's going to be a game changer for some of these companies. But you know, in 2022, let's be realistic. From the time for most people who live in a densely populated area, a lot of times from the time you leave your house to the time you get to work or wherever you're going, you've been picked up probably a half a dozen cameras, right? I am a privacy holdout. I don't think that cameras should be everywhere, but that's the world that we live in. It's the world we're going to. So you just got to kind of dig your heels in and take it kind of as slow as you can. But all right, so what else I want to talk about? You got me off topic there, Tony, but that's a good, yeah, you know, I do think it's going to be a good camera. We'll see at that price point how many they actually move. So we talked about Grandstream AP, so that video will be coming. QNAP sent out their newsletter, and they've got now a fanless industrial NAS meant for harsh environments. So if you can deal with some of those security issues that they're having, they now have, and somebody will have to do the conversion for me because I don't Celsius, I Fahrenheit at the moment. So, but it's a real wide range of temperatures for that NAS. And they've got all kinds of stuff going on. Now, the other thing that they sent me, and I want to thank them for this, is they sent me this Koi box, which is this this wireless presenter. And if you check out this Koi box 100, I'm going to do a video on it, and I'm probably going to do the video from the box. I'll record it using that, but it is a high-quality video conferencing 4K wireless presentation solution for business meeting rooms, and it's kind of an interesting, take on it, and it can actually join Zoom, Skype, Microsoft Teams, Cisco WebEx, and Google Meets calls. So it's kind of interesting, and you can install a hard drive in this and record locally. So we're going to do a video on this. Thanks, QNAP, for sending that out. But the other thing is, if it's anything like the rest of the QNAP devices, I'm going to probably be able to just install Linux on this thing straight up. It's got a built-in 30 gig SSD. It's got all your standard ports, HDMI, Ethernet, USB ports. It's got a Kensington lock on it. So, and then on the bottom, I mean, they do put some thought into their hardware, and that's the differentiator as far as QNAP goes. Their hardware offerings, I can take these screws out, and then I can hang this thing on the wall. That's probably also how they actually have thumb screws, so that's probably how we get the bottom off to go to the hard drive. But you can see it. So we'll be doing a video on this, and then InGenius reached out and wanted to know. A few years ago, they sent me some APs. I didn't have a controller for it, things like that. I kind of like drug my feet on it, but they reached back out. Now, InGenius actually has now a new threat management firewall, and I really want to get my hands on it. I don't know if my buddy Barry from Pennsylvania is on the live stream, but he's really wrapped up with InGenius. I'm going through their training to become InGenius certified. But what really got me back into it is I want to get my hands on one of these firewalls. But they sent me over one of their InGenius, this is a 2x2 Wi-Fi 6 AP, so we'll do a video on this. And then the other thing that I'm excited about, switches, routers, and access points, and storage and stuff. That stuff, I get kind of excited about that. I get more excited about security stuff, but the networking stuff, without the networking stuff, nothing else, really matters, right? Like if the bones aren't there to support it. So they sent me a switch. I want to thank them for that. And you can rack mount it. And it is a multi-G managed switch. So it's got some SFP plus ports. And I've heard good things about InGenius switches. And so we are definitely going to give this a shot. The one thing that did confuse me was that they don't come with SFP plus port covers. It's like they leave those out these days. But the other thing that confuses me too is I'm getting a lot of switch gear, and I don't know if you can see it on this, but this switch is like, it is bent. Like, there is a massive curve in this switch. I mean, it is very noticeable. But anyway, these are 1 gig, 2.5 gig PoE ports. I'm super excited to get this fired up. So in another moment of transparency, I will tell you that right now it is costing me a fortune to run my lab. Our power prices have more than doubled where I'm at in some cases, so I actually have large sections of the lab unplugged. And when I get done with the live stream, everything in my office, I'm actually going to shut it off and unplug. Like, my office will go dark until I'm back in here working in the morning. And then I've got the 2 APs and a router and a switch plugged in, and that's it. Until I'm messing with this stuff, I've got to keep everything unplugged. And our rates are going to go up again in October. So I'm not trying to get it like on a poor pitiful me. I'm just telling you right now, it's expensive to run the lab 24/7. So I got to kind of pick and choose. So, but yeah, if you've got a consultant and they're not, and they're talking to you about Wi-Fi 6 because you're excited about Wi-Fi 6, and they're not talking to you about things like BSS coloring and things like that, go out, do some reading about some of the spectral efficiencies of Wi-Fi 6, and then start bugging your consultant about that. If they've not read about it, then they should. Gibby says FLIR is the best thermal camera. FLIR makes a great camera. Gibby says IT Pro TV has something about Wi-Fi 7. Haven't watched it yet, but it seems like marketing has pushed this out early again. Yeah, probably. I don't disagree with that. Good morning, Brian. So Cody said that they only released 60 of, so Ubiquiti only released 60 of those new cameras, and by the time he got around to paying, it was sold out. Jack Squat says, you haven't talked about Cambium in a long time. Cambium makes solid gear. Oh, that's the other thing about Grandstream. So right now, if you didn't see the email, so if you bought any Grandstream APs, and we'll have to look at let me see if I can find the information on it real quick. So there was an email sent out last week by Grandstream. And this is very, very important for those of you running Grandstream APs. Grandstream AP warranty extension. So what they did last week, let me just see if I can find it here. I'll have to see if I can find the email, but what Grandstream did last week, instead of a standard 1-year warranty on your Grandstream APs, it's at least from APs that you've purchased this year. I'll have to find the dates on it, but what they did was they went retroactive to January 1st this year. You now have a 3-year warranty on all of your Grandstream access points that were at least purchased this year. I'm going to have to see if I can find the dates and do just a video about that. But that's exciting. That's good stuff. So Cambium their indoor stuff all comes with a 5-year warranty. You can call them on the phone. You can do all kinds of stuff. So where we're using Cambium is we are leveraging them in RV parks, kind of those outdoor venues where you've got, a lot of interference and stuff like that. And I've got one customer of mine, she's out on the East Coast, and I can't say enough good things about how Cambium has taken care of her and had a tech on the phone. And she was on like a pre-release software to get some things done. And it has just been fantastic. And they've been training her and things like that. And so that's when I call Cambium, because they, I don't even care if I get cut out of a deal as long as the client gets what they need. So, yeah. Admin engineer says, I went through the whole InGenius training a few years ago. I liked what they had, but they were a lot more expensive than equivalent or better gear. I wonder how they are keeping up with inventory. That I don't know, but their university, their online training is now available. You have to apply for it. Then they'll turn the access on for that. So I've got to do that. Rolf says screens are going curved, so why not switches too, right? That's hilarious. Dave Robertson, welcome to the channel. Dave is one of the first 12 certified Grandstream professionals in the unified communication space in North America in the last 3 years. Enjoyed having you in class, Dave. Dave says, really enjoyed the class. Have a question. What model UCM do you typically recommend for a customer with 50 users, 150 users? How close do you stay to the Grandstream max user specs? So it used to be that we would let the number of FXO ports that they needed drive that, or the number of FXS ports. But I will tell you, Dave, that a lot of times what we're doing is because the majority of the customers have racks and things like that. Unless they are super duper price conscious, we are usually skipping up to the 6304 right away to future proof that growth, but it's also rack mountable, right? So smaller customers, yeah, we'll do that. But as you heard, we have a customer with 1,000 plus handsets running on a 6308 high availability system, right? So sometimes we bend the rules, and that's why we don't do videos on some of that stuff. But let me see if I can find UCM 6300 max users. Let me see if I can find that. So the 6300 series. Let's see here. I'm going to bring this up real quick. Data sheets. All right, so let's see if we can find this here. I'm going to flip over. I don't know if it's on this. Okay, here we go. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's this section right here. So from left to right, this is going to be your 6301, which is going to have the same specs as the 6300, except the 6301 has a single FXS and a single FXO port, right? So you're going to have 500 users and then 75 G711 calls, or if you're running secure real-time protocol, you can have 50, and then it just keeps going up from there. So you can see that 6308 can have 3,000 users, 450 maximum calls. Now, we got some call statistics from that customer with 1,000 plus handsets, and in 1 month, that property made over 47,000 phone calls. So any of these, Dave, are really going to meet a lot of the needs. If you're going past 3,000 users and 300 concurrent encrypted calls, you're going to be architecting a different solution. You can do it with Grandstream, but you're probably going to split your phones. You're going to have trunks between the UCMs and those kinds of things. And the other thing to note is that sometimes there's some other YouTubers that have done some videos on Grandstream, and some of them say, well, doing encrypted phone calls is as easy as checking a box. Yes and no. So I'll do a video on it, but what you've got to do is not only do you have to configure it on, so there's two places you have to do it, right? So you can encrypt all of your calls internally. That's a checkbox and actually a policy modification to your phone. So you have to tell the phone, if you don't configure the phone to do SRTP, it's not going to do it. Your phone's not going to work. It'll register the extension, but you can't make any calls. So you have to check the box on the UCM, and then you have to configure your phone policy to force SRTP to the handsets. Then if you want to encrypt those calls from you to your service provider, then that's another configuration. So maybe we'll do a full configuration video on that. I have no idea. None of us that are here have any idea when Ubiquiti is going to get their UNVRs or any of their other stock in. They don't tell us anything. Maybe Linus from Linus Tech Tips knows. He's probably the largest creator that's messing with Ubiquiti gear. Give him a buzz. I kind of say that tongue in cheek, but go to his forum and see. Maybe they'll know. So Grandstream switches are still supposed to be out this year. I really wish I'd have had one in time for the training class, but we're going to be doing another training class in Q4. And so I'm hoping to have my hands on one for that class. But all right, well, I want to thank you all for being here this morning. Really, really thank you. And if you, like I said, if you need to reach out, you need, you need to talk about something, you need some consulting, go to williehowe.com. Hey, Joe, I know you're late, but that's cool, man. That's cool. At least you're here. You can go back and watch the replay and leave a nasty comment about how the first 2 minutes have no audio. And then, but if you need anything, reach out. I appreciate each and every one of you. I want to thank you for spending a little bit of your Saturday or whatever day it is when you're watching this with me. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.